James, thanks for coming on the podcast. We always start off with a quick introduction of yourself and the business that you're in, and then we'll take it from there.
My name is James. I run an IT distribution company named JLC Distribution, and we essentially deal with most of the FTSE 100 companies, government institutions, and we supply them all with their peripherals and low-value IT equipment, essentially. And we're starting to supply more and more high-value stuff, but it's been a journey. And that's what we are. We're an IT distribution company.
Awesome. We'll get into what you're up to now and what the business does in a bit more detail. Do you want to go through sort of? I know you had a few jobs before starting the business. Do you want to take us through what that looked like and what you were doing then?
All right, job one. I'm 11 years old. I go to Malaga and I'm with my mom and dad. I'm at a market. I get a load of Oakley sunglasses. No. I think they were looked a bit like Oakley, but I called them Oakley because it's easier to say that. But it looked like they were Oakley sunglasses, whatever. They were like sunny, cool sunglasses, right? Anyway, I bought them for £5 a piece and I sold them for £10 and £15 for the cooler models at school, but I got caught very quickly. And it was all pretty heavy, right? The headmaster called up my dad. My dad was mad, even though he was the one who kind of pushed the idea because he always wanted me to be in business. But he was more annoyed about the fact that I got caught. Anyway, that all got resolved and the police didn't get contacted, which was actually a serious threat at the time. I'd only just started back off school, which was crazy. And then I got into eBay selling. So now I'm 12 years old. I had an eBay account. I won't say the eBay account's name actually, because I don't want people to look into all the stuff I was selling at the time. Because you're young, dumb, selling stuff that maybe isn't technically to the rules, let's say. But anyway, I was selling a lot of jewelry, handbags, boots, hair straighteners. It was crazy. So I spent a lot of my time when I was at school actually making as much as £200 net a week when I was 13, 14 on eBay. I had money. And then when I was 14 or 15, I took work experience and I worked at Bristol Bathroom Company. And from that, I got my first sales job. And on Sundays, I was working selling bathroom suites at age 15, which was crazy because selling bathrooms is a very complicated thing. And I'm dealing with adults who are trying to have confidence in you. And you got to sound like the taps have to work with their system. The shower, have they got a combi? Have they got a gravity fed system? All this crazy stuff. So I did that until I was 17. And then I moved over to a company called Dream. Well, actually, I went to RBS then and I did pension increments. And I lasted a week until I got fired. I got fired because I cheated on my bird and she gave me a black eye on the weekend. I turned up so arrogant, and they go, the manager wants to see you. I was like, oh yeah, cool. I'll go up and see the manager. And then I was like, cool, have I been promoted into the customer service role? Because I wanted to get out of pension increments because I hate doing the detail. I'm a person who likes speaking. And then she's like, actually, no, we're going to have to let you go. I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, you were late today. You've come in with a black eye. You've only been here a week. And I'm like, okay, or whatever. Anyway, I went back home. If my dad's watching this, forgive me. I actually told my dad I didn't get fired. I told him they just didn't need me at the time. But you have to understand, this is coming from a place of survival. He would have taken my head off. So I was like, anyway, lucky for me then, Dreams, the bed shop. Do you know Dreams?
Yeah.
I got a job at Dreams. And this is where I came into my own. I was 18 years old. I got a job at Dreams. There's 1,000 sales staff. And me and my brother, Rob, we were the best sales guys in the entire company. And suddenly I was on every memo and I found my calling. My calling was making people buy things. So I got into that. And then after I was there for about a year and 2 months, I loved the job. I earned 30 grand a year. And this is back in 2006, 2007. So it's a lot of money, especially for an 18-year-old. Anyway, I leave there. I then go and start a bathroom shop because an opportunity came up in Swindon. I actually was sleeping on the floor of the warehouse from some mattresses that I got cheap from Dreams while I was working there. And actually, one night even, I used to sleep with my mouth open. A huge spider crawled into my mouth. I woke up and it was crazy, bro. Anyway, so that business went bankrupt and I was £34,000 in debt at 19. I left that place and I started selling things I absolutely shouldn't have been selling. And it was a very choppy time for my family, not for me. I was doing whatever, just trying to keep my head above water, but they were concerned about the way that my life was going. So my dad was like, yo, I want you to meet this guy I know called Mike. And he's got a company called Mike's Diving. And he's got this boat. He's doing really well. And he just does it all on eBay and Amazon. So I was like, yeah, definitely. Sign me up. I'm going to go see. And I spoke to him and he's like, you need to just get passionate about something, take your life serious, and essentially said, yeah, you can make big money on eBay. And because I'd already been doing eBay for literally like 4 or 5 years when I was younger, then I had this break where I think I never looked at eBay or Amazon as something that could be a real business. I looked at it as something that was like just in your bedroom. And now I wanted to have a proper bricks and mortar business. But I was like, all right, I'll try it. Anyway, I start in 2010. I put a few people in my sites. These are 2 companies at the time. Anyone watching this can go check it out. One eBay company was called First to Save, run by a guy called Mark Radcliffe, who's actually now a billionaire. But he was the first ever eBay millionaire. And I had him as my screensaver, and I'd look, I'm like, I'm gonna be better than him. I'm gonna be better than him. I'm gonna be better than him. Anyway, when I eventually became a millionaire, he's now a billionaire. So like, I'm on my own route. We're in competition if he ever sees this. But anyway, so I started in 2010. There was this guy, First to Save. He was my inspiration. Then there was another guy called London Magic Store. These guys don't know me, I know them. They might know me now, but that was run by a guy called Dario Lopez. And these guys, they were the reason that even though I didn't really make any money for my first 2 years of business, I stayed in the game because I thought, those guys are doing it, I'm going to do it. My ego, my inside couldn't let the fact that if it can be done, I'm not going to fail. So I kept pushing. Anyway, it started 2010. By 2013, and people could even go look at our accounts on Companies House for this. This is crazy. By 23 years old, I cleared $1 million after everything. I was paying myself like 50 to 80 grand a month. It was crazy. And it was like printing money. Back then, I mean, that's a lot of money now. Imagine back then, that was crazy though. So then I started to think I'm the smartest guy in the world, right? 2 years goes by and eBay and Amazon become tougher and tougher to sell on because what you had the Chinese counterparts circumventing all of the VAT and selling straight from China into the UK. And they were using Fulfilled by Amazon, which meant that my competitive edge up until this point was that I was fast service, but I wasn't the cheapest in town. But people would pay, when you're talking about like a £5 case or a £4 case, people aren't worried about £2 between you and the competition if the service is there. But when FBA came in, suddenly the service isn't a factor because Amazon are dealing with it. So it basically started to collapse my business and my sales were eroding. I had 25 staff and between 2014 to 2017, I went to like 5 staff. It was super, super stressful. I thought like, no way, I've peaked by age 23, this is stressful. So then at that point, my business now was not only not making money, it was losing money. And I thought I was gonna lose everything. I started selling my watches, I sold my cars. I had some nice cars up until that point. I had like a Bentley, a Mercedes AMG GTS. Anyway, I leased a car then, got rid of everything, started to sell up, got out of any investments I was in. It was literally like survival mode. So I'm just gonna put this water in. It was literally like survival mode. And then lucky for me, I think I became at peace. A lot of what I was doing during that time, sorry, have I jumped in too deep? Because I've given you my job.
Keep going.
All right. So luckily for me then at that point is during the time in which I've been building the Amazon and eBay business, I had a few B2B customers who had been buying 1,000 cases here, 1,000 cases there. And I thought, we have to go all in on this because we already had Jack. He's my head of new business. He had been picking up the phone and he'd got the business to like 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month in some months in B2B sales. So as I realized that the Amazon business had no legs in it, or I mean, you can make money on Amazon, but at that time I was struggling. We went all in on B2B. So 2017, I went away to New Zealand. I had like 3 weeks off to reset my head and think about like what I wanted to do because I didn't want to make any moves out of being desperate. You know, I wanted to be in a good place. Anyway, then fast forward by 2019, we are making money again, just a little bit, which is good. And then all the craziness hits in 2020. I won't say the word because I don't want to get the algos meshed up. But then, yeah, things went crazy. And we really went from like, at that point, we'd gone from doing 5 million a year on Amazon down to about 1 million. And now I'd gone up in 2020 to about 10 because it had just blown up. So which was crazy. I kept the same limited company despite the fact that the retail business had zeroed out. And then out of that emerged the B2B. Many people in those same shoes would have bankrupted one company, screwed off a load of their people, but we didn't do that. Everyone got paid. No one lost a penny. And then where we were making like £1 million a year, we went to making 2.5 million in B2B in the same company. It was just crazy. So like the turnover events have been mad. Yeah. And here we are now. We have a business that does around 10 million in the UK. Because after that craziness of like when everything locked down, it went down a bit because we had like wartime business, I call it. It wasn't a true reflection of what business was because we were selling loads of work from home kit. But then because we got so much money from then, we decided to invest it out here. So I put £1 million into this business in Europe. And now we're doing £3.5 million in Europe. And we do about 12 million now this year in UK. We have a business group doing about 15. But the plans are this. We see a very, very clear path on how we're going to get to 1 billion. That's my plan, 1 billion.
Very good. And I'm sure we could probably do a full hour of before the company even started. So
yeah, we could, bro. I got a lot to say.
But we'll go straight into like I want to go into that like struggle part if you don't mind, of the business and when it starts to crash essentially. You mentioned like a lot of people would have just bankrupted it and gone on to something else.
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Mostly pride. I mean, my biggest credit. Well, no, mostly pride. I also started doing a good thing. My biggest creditor is my brother in China. And at any one time I can earn like $200,000 to $500,000. And I know that if we didn't pay him, then it would destroy his life and what he's built. And the thing is, as much as legally I'm allowed as a limited company to close everything down, like I don't think that we have to stick just with the laws. You have to do the right thing. Like I've got businesses that I take credit from my friends. And if I went bust, I would still pay them. Because unless there's someone, if it was me, right, and one of my friends goes bust on me and I got the dough, I'll say, bro, don't worry about it. I know you were doing your best. But if it's a small business or something, I just can't live with myself screwing over someone, like, so I decided that we're just going to fight. And I sold my watches. I got everything I could get out into cash. And at times we got nearly down to the barrel. And it was literally a point in 2017 where it was just like, just survive today and then go to the next. Just survive today, go to the next. And I was doing tons of drugs, a lot of sleeping pills, a lot of cocaine, bad coping, by the way, because I don't do anything like that anymore. In like, I think somewhere late 2017, a switch went off in my head and I just never touched any of that stuff again. I realized that how bad doing anything that can affect your brain chemistry is for making good decisions. Now that sounds obvious, but there's definitely gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be watching this who do all that stuff. And I'm scratching my nose because I got like a hair or something, right? Not because I do cocaine, but I just think that, yeah. And what I'd had is that 2013 when I was making a lot of money, I felt like I could just do all this stuff and it doesn't affect me. And the question is, maybe my business wouldn't have taken the turn it did if I'd have been more cognitively competent.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, I don't think there was any way of turning around the B2C offering. The B2B was always going to be the future. However, maybe I would have been faster on the trigger if I hadn't have been trying to escape with drugs and sleeping pills. So I think that, yeah, I think there was a huge lesson in there. And actually the funny part is the business started to go well and get back on track when I started looking after myself. I think you have to look after yourself. And also where we're talking about I could have closed it and I could have even if it wasn't my brother and even if it wasn't, and I didn't respect the debts, which I do. I think a man always needs to pay his debts. But even if that wasn't the case, I think that life is poetry and I think you have to deal with the problems. You have to. And that's what makes it good by the end of it. Like even in the last 2 years, I've had some serious trials and tribulations, but the only thing that makes the good stuff worth it is because you got through them. If you just won the lottery, yeah, I'm sure it'd be a good 24 hours or maybe even a year, but it's only worth it if you earn it. I really believe that.
Yeah, very good. It's a great way of looking at everything, I guess. Like taking care of and I've had it myself. Like if I'm in a routine and in like training wise and in the gym, and the business seems to come with that as well. So I think it's
definitely a healthy body, a healthy mind.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely believe that, and I don't know, how old are you, Tom?
28.
28, okay, yeah. So I'm 7 years older than you. I'm 36 next month, actually, so I'm nearly 8 years older. But here's the thing, is I realize now, and I probably started to learn it maybe around 30, maybe around your age, maybe 30, that life ebbs and flows. And you're going to have good and you're going to have bad. But when I was like 23, 24, as it started to go down, I went, nah, my life's over. But now I actually even thought maybe I was going to go bankrupt like 2 years ago when my cash was running out, trying to keep this thing alive. Thank God now this is a strong business. UK is a strong business. We're literally making a lot of money. Life is good. I can sleep very well now. But I even found some kind of meaning 2 years ago, knowing now that I've got enough experience to know that it will always work out. And our only job is to turn up every single day and fight. Now, that might mean that one day we have to sleep on the streets or we're sofa surfing or whatever. But it doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. And then when you're back on a yacht or you're flying in a private jet or you're driving a supercar, I think then you're going to be happy that you had the trials and tribulations. Light is only light because you experience darkness. If it's just light the whole time, who would care? So that's really where I'm at with it. I think even though I don't want to go bankrupt, I would understand that, be peaceful. This is the journey. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to cry about it. It is what it is. And whatever God has in store for me, he has in store for me. And I don't mean that from a religious aspect. You could be karmic and you could say universe. The whole thing I'm trying to say is everything happens for a reason and experience will teach you that.
Definitely. And I'll probably come back to some of the business stuff, especially like the switch from B2C to B2B. What so you mentioned like obviously you had the struggles when the Amazon stuff was coming down, and then you mentioned 2 years ago as well. What sort of stuff do you put in place, or have you put in place now, and what things are you doing to make sure that there's time periods of things can come crashing down? What do you do to prevent those? I know you said what will be, but I would guess that you're putting things in place to minimize the risk.
Yeah, I'm building insurance policies into the business. So we're working with a higher amount of cash than we've been working with. And actually, this is pretty crazy. Last year, my tax bill was only 138 quid, despite the fact that my I earned a lot of money the previous years, but I just didn't pay myself anything because we're just trying to build the company. And even now, I had a management meeting this morning with my finance director, David, and we're making a lot of money every single month. But I said, we're not taking any money out. We're putting every month, put a portion into Bitcoin, every month put a portion into the stock market, and every month we put a portion into the bank, and we just keep building. I want to be at a place where ultimately I don't sleep well if I have money in my own bank. I sleep well if the business is healthy. So I just want to have the business with a mountain of cash in it. That's what we're trying to do right now, because I need that to be the case, because my next move is I'm going to Dubai. And when I go to Dubai to open an office, I don't want the same trials and tribulations I had this time, because what happened is I made a load of money in COVID. And then or whatever, you can cut that bit out. I made a load of money during that crazy 4 years. But then when it ran out, I was working with a pot, and the pot nearly ran out of money. And then luckily it started making money just as we were like, is this gone too far? So I'm not going to have that same thing. We're going to go to Dubai when I have a big flow of money come from here, a big flow of money from the UK, and a big pot, which means that a lot of things would have to go wrong for me to be losing the amount of sleep I was losing last time. So I learned my lessons there. And also, through all of these trials and tribulations, we have come together as a fantastic team. I have obviously Jack, who I told you about, who's a head of new business. I have Ricky, who is my sales director, started with me like 7 years ago, and solid as a rock. I literally trust him with my life, trust Jack with my life, trust them all with my life. I got my business partner out here, Owen. And again, he started with me 6 years ago, solid as a rock. I got Luke, who runs my operation back home. And then I got Ken, who's my chairman, who's literally been there from thick and thin, from every trial and tribulation. And then I got David, who is my finance director. And these people, we all have known each other for the better part of a decade, and we're shoulder to shoulder. Oh, and Rebecca as well, who was my business partner. And yeah, just amazing. Like, I think cash and a team who care about the business just as much as me. And and I don't want to miss people, because people will get salty, and also this brother is one of my most loyal brothers, Barry. These people, they make it easy. Building cash and people who care just as much as you. Because there's a saying in this thing called Miller's Crossing. Have you ever seen the movie Miller's Crossing?
No.
It says, I would worry less if I thought that you worried enough. And I am covered with people who worry just as much as me. Sometimes things are going so bad, I can see they're worried. I can keep my feet up. Like, look, I'm not stressed because you're carrying it for me. There's nothing worse than being with people who don't care. So that's what I'm doing. I got a very, very good team. And yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll focus on on team then, because you come back, mentioned your background. None of them have been like management positions, so you're not had to manage other people.
No.
When do you start to bring team members on, and how do you adjust, or how do you learn how to manage people and how to run a business and all that?
Well, I was very blessed because my dad would always mentor me, and it was a lot. It was a lot of learning, you know. It was a lot of. I mean, my dad mentored me to a degree, but we're not that close. I would just now and then I could be like, "Yo, Dad, how should I deal with this? How should I do that?" And then even actually for the last 4 or 5 years, we're talking now. We didn't really talk for 4 or 5 years. So, but when I first employed people, my first ever employee was a guy through school, and it was good. It ended pretty badly. He ended up having shares of the company. I bought him out for like an obscene amount of money for a 23-year-old. It was like serious dough. I don't even know if I can say it, but so I won't say it just in case it causes me trouble. But yeah, like went through full tens of thousands with lawyers, back and forth, crazy, and I set him out for a mountain of cash. It was mad, but it was really just learning. I made a lot of mistakes with staff. I actually got rid of a lot of people irrationally when I was younger, not like some tyrant, but like I now say we were working together and you were my sales and you weren't doing a good job, I wouldn't just get rid of you. I'd be like, look, Tom, you're not making money. I need to see more from you. If this doesn't get fixed by XYZ, I'm going to give you a warning. And then at the time of the warning, if this doesn't get fixed, you're going to go. I'm upfront. I'm very, very upfront, because if I'm not upfront, it doesn't give them the opportunity to change. And what I've seen now through my learning of like employing people is most people, if you communicate correctly with them, they can be good. So what I realize is a lot of people I lost back in the day because I wasn't communicating properly. So now I'm the best version of myself in terms of like, no one's going to be wondering what they did or what they didn't do wrong, because we would have been talking about it, trying to get them better until the day they went. I think before I somewhat did a disservice to people, maybe because in some ways I didn't want to have a tough conversation with people. To avoid a tough conversation, it would be like I got to the point where I resented them so much and they've done this and they can be fired by that because you're not allowed to do this. But are we trying to just fire people because they've broken a rule, or can we try and make them better? And yeah, and I think, and I say that, and people could think, but I guarantee most people listening to this are to some extent forgoing some of the conversations that you should be having. Because I think, like, as humans, we try to do it, and the best of us will deal with them all. And I'm definitely not the best of us, but I think that I'm improving. So that's really like the learning. Like you said, I was never a manager before, but I think I'm a very good leader. But I actually still am not a very good manager. Like Rebecca, she does most of the managing. Owen, my business partner, he is a way better manager than me. To be a good manager, you have to be organized. I'm the most disorganized person I know. But I'm a good leader. I can really motivate people, and people are loyal to me, and they fight behind me, so
Yeah.
there's a difference between leader and manager. And I would actually say I'm a fantastic leader, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and you don't need to be if you've got the other people that can complement that. Like,
Definitely.
that's the reason why people have co-founders, and all of the co-founders that I've spoken to on here are complete opposites, in terms of like skill set. Makes complete sense. Let's go to the pivot then, if you like, from B2C to B2B. How many years were you purely B2C, and then how does the first B2B client come along?
B2C, 2010, 2011, 12, up to 2017, it was 7 years.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the little rundown of the B2C business, because it's quite interesting for anyone who's actually trying to start a business. My year one, I did £112,000 turnover. I made no money. Didn't take any money out of the company either. So it's not like it broke even. It paid me a salary. No. I worked at Porcelanosa. Oh yeah, that was another job, because I actually worked a job for the first year of me starting this business, because I didn't, and this is anyone listening now, I had no time for anything else except for my 9 to 5 and work. So if you want to try and start a business, you want to have a girlfriend on the side, those things don't match. Like, the only way that these things are going to work, you got to be all in if you want to get major. Anyway, so I spent a year kind of working at Porcelanosa doing this. I turned over £112,000 in the company, didn't make any money, but it washed its face, which I was quite happy with, because like, at least it meant that I was in the game for another year, because I was terrified of failing. And then year two, I think we did 400,000 and made about 50 grand or something. So it's like, right, I'm making money. But then year 3, I did 3.6 million and I made net 1,002,000. So, and there was no way in year 2 that I could have thought I would made 1 million. So it was really just push, have faith that your vision was correct, and then bang. And then 2014, I made like 1.25 million. It continued to go up despite the fact that my lifestyle was getting a bit crazy at this point. But then by 2017, yeah, that's when we went B2B. We picked up our first B2B customer in 2013. And it was like it was a well-known I'll just say a top 3 accounting firm. We'd never deal direct to the people who use our kit now. We sell to resellers who sell to those people. We're a distribution business, but at the time, we had a top 3 accounting firm reach out to us and said they wanted to buy 1,000 of these cases, have them branded up in their logo and sent to Monaco. And we were like, yep, done. And we did that. Started to realize that there was some good B2B stuff. And we would constantly have schools buying here and there. So yeah, it started in 2013. But then in 2014, I had a gentleman named Jack Walsh, who is my head of new business. He was working in the business in 2013. He started in 2012. And he'd been chewing my ear off saying, please let me sell B2B. Please let me sell B2B. So credit to him. This is his idea that we're even doing this B2B. And now look, it's doing like $20 million. I say dollars because I'm so used to doing my YouTube content. I say that to try and appeal to the American market. But 15 million quid as a group. And that's because his idea to start that B2B stuff, which is sick. And yeah, 2014, he picked up the phone. It doesn't really he does a lot of police work with the police, a lot of other resellers, but we don't really have a clear place of where we're sitting in the market, but we're doing a bit of B2B. And then by 2017, we're basically the foundations of what is becoming a distribution business. And then by 2018, we cut off any direct business we had that was still straggling. And we'd actually refuse business then. Like if you weren't reselling our product, you can't buy. Because what was happening is we were conflicting with people who were like, hey, you just quoted our customer. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It's just that we didn't realize how small the market is. As you get bigger, you start to realize that you're going to step all on each other's toes. And if you want the support from customers, you have to be doing it in a way that makes it favorable to them. Because up until that point where I isolated who my customer was, no one would accept my kit branded. They didn't want it branded because they were worried about their customer going direct to us.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
So once I said that, no, we never ever go direct. Here's the contract. Here's this. Then I could start branding. And that's what changed the game. Branding. So yeah, 2013, the B2B starts happening and it starts to, 2012, because they're buying from us, we actually actively and proactively go out chasing business 2014. And then by 2017, we actually establish it as our main route to market.
What does I know I've seen your videos of you doing your cold calling now.
Yeah.
Have you always been like outbound sales driven?
Yeah, always been outbound sales driven. Actually, there's another job I forgot to tell you about. When I was in college, when I was 17, alongside that bathroom job I was working, I would work the evenings at a company called Stay Bright Windows. And I would do cold calling, trying to get, basically you had 2 types of thing. There was a job to get a lead and the phone guys like me trying to get like old people. And I don't say old people like I was selecting them. I'm just giving the numbers, but anyway, so my job is to get one of the dems lined up. So my job is to collect leads and then they go and do a dem. And if I can get a lead, I get like 5 quid or something. And that's how it was. And then I worked at a company called GFK Martin Hamlin again in the evenings, which is cold call market research. And I was a killer there too. Really, I just didn't give people an opportunity to breathe, I'm just bang, 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 bang. And yeah, it was good. And I think what's happened is I'm trying to make YouTube content, business content. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to start teaching these guys how to do cold calls too. And that's probably what you've seen on LinkedIn. It's a lot of fun because also I've got my own guys at work who sometimes I feel like, not all of them, just some people, they can listen and they can listen to that call and see, okay, it's not that daunting to do it. So yeah, it was a bit of propaganda for the business, some good content, it's everything. So that's why I got into that. And I actually enjoy it, bro. It's like I'm back at my roots because I get such a buzz from doing it. There's actually some more YouTube content I made. Last summer, I went back to the car boot sales because one of my biggest businesses in year 1 of this business was I would sell everything at car boots. So in 2023 to 2024, I was doing car boot sales again, bro. It's badass. I took my Lamborghini. I would have like all the table there. I was buying and selling sunglasses again. And bro, I was making like 200 or 300 quid in a day. And I was doing it with my brother Shiz. And the whole point was to show the young guns, look, you can still do these old school businesses.
Yeah, so then they've taken like all of that experience and put it into your teams, and that's how you've got your new business, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that cold calling. So when I worked at Dreams and when I had this B2C offering at the start, one of the most stressful parts about it is you put the product up, and if people aren't coming through the door, even the metaphoric door, like your online store, is stressful. Now, when we're having a bad day here, one of the ways that I can vent out that frustration is like, right, let's make more calls. Because if we have a slow day and we've made lots of calls, I can still sleep at night, because like I said, I'm at peace with things not going my way if I know I've done everything I possibly could. But I'm not at peace with things not going my way if I know I could have done more. So really, and I think the proactive approach, when it's like a business that can go out and make phone calls, there's a few things. You haven't got to have some hot real estate to make sales. And all you need is a phone and your voice, and you can get the business in. So yeah, it means that you feel a little bit more in control of your destiny than waiting.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's we'll bring it up to date then. What the business does now, who it serves. You probably covered a little bit of that off. Oh, yeah, maybe this is your chance.
All right, well,
to sell the business to people listening.
All right. Well, listen, if you get arrested in the UK, you're going to be arrested with a JLC case. If you get surgery or you're in anywhere to do with the NHS, guess what? They're going to have a JLC case. If you go to any public school in Wales, they're going to be using a JLC headset and webcam. If you ever get a tax investigation, or the HMRC use our stuff, or the DWP, every driving exam is taken in a JLC case. We basically supply all of government, but we supply it via our resellers, great resellers who we build fantastic relationships with. And then, you go into the high street, our cases are everywhere, every single restaurant. It's all used internally. They're not sold on the shelves. It's not like a OtterBox type thing we sell in bulk to big organizations that are using them. So keep your eyes peeled, guys, and you'll see it. And we basically started doing the same thing out here in Europe. So we have started forging relationships. We started 3.5 years ago, and yeah, coming out to the same business, big corps and government, and that's where we're at. And what we've been trying to do now is introduce bigger products into it. So we've been selling cases, cables, keyboards, mice, laptop bags, all that kind of stuff for a long time, monitors. But we have recently started to develop good connections for devices. So we're starting to sell phones and stuff too. So in the end, I believe that it will go from just being a peripheral IT distributor. We sell everything right now, but the bulk of the sales is peripheral. I think that we will become a major player in all things IT. So that's where we're at. Customers are essentially the same as they've been since 2018, 19. There's just more of them. And every single day that goes by, people get more and more confidence in our products. And even, we get the biggest organizations on this planet are demanding they want JLC kit. So it's a great place to be. And in 2018, we would quote all the big options and we wouldn't win anything. And now we're at a place where we pretty much win everything we quote because our reputation's got to a place where we're like this. We sell on price partly, but mainly it's service. And that's why people come to us. Certain people try to undercut us and get here, get there, and they never take our business. It's because literally our guys, we work all day, all night, not because I make them, because they love their jobs that much. We are like a very, very company driven. My company's purple, and we always say, if you cut us, we bleed purple. Everyone is just so company orientated. And I think our customers know that. And because of that, it creates this magic. And people even say this to us, our company feels different. And our culture is beautiful, really, really beautiful. And much of me to say it, but I don't think there is another company like us. I genuinely think we're the best company.
Do you now get a lot of referrals and just people coming to you from word of mouth then?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, a lot of referrals, and a lot of renewal business. So if someone wins a contract, say a government institution buys a load of handsets and a load of cases and a load of this, we're always winning the renewals, because what's hard is to get the initial renewal, but once they've got confidence in us, they're not leaving, because we're too good. We all break our backs to keep the customer happy.
Good stuff. You mentioned that you're in the Netherlands now, right?
Yeah.
What's the process of that, like getting a business set up overseas and then running that? I guess are the people that you hire then from there, or do you take over your team members that have been with you for years?
Okay, so a bit of both. I've got Owen, who was like, one of basically him and another guy always competing for top spot back in the UK. One of our best guys came over here and he showed appetite to want to work out here. So he's a business partner now out here. So he came. Then we had to get people who spoke the native language, which to be honest has been really, really tough because we were in the Netherlands, but we're in the Netherlands to service France, Spain, Italy, Germany, I can't think of it. Belgium, everywhere, right? So to try and get people who speak in the native tongue is one thing, but also to be there from there is another, because they have to be able to understand the culture to be able to effectively sell. So lucky for us now, we have we have an Argentinian guy who understands and has lived in Spain. He services the Spanish market fantastically. We've got a Dutch lady called Laura and a soon-to-be new Dutch guy starting on Monday. So that has been challenging, trying to find these multilinguals. And we have actually spent a lot of money on recruitment consultants, but the problem is we can't really identify whether they're good or not because you don't speak their mother tongue. And we've fallen on our sword a little bit in terms of trying to get the top quality. So our latest person we found, now you're going to like this, right? We were looking for a German member of staff and we're half an hour away from the German border. I drove my car, my bright purple Lamborghini, into the center of Grenau, Germany. And then I got out with Owen. I was like, who wants a job? Who wants a job? Who wants a job? Anyway, I found someone and she's the craziest caller we've ever had. And even after 2 months, she's making profit. That's never happened before. And we got her for free just because we were running around saying, who wants a job? So that's how we got it. But I tell you, one of the biggest challenges, trying to teach people how to sell when you don't understand their mother tongue. So I go in there now and I'm that guy who, I didn't even take French at school. I got given extra English because I was too dumb. So I'm in there listening to all these people speak different languages. I don't know what is going on. So you're trying to write, so what did they say? Repeat it back to me and you're translating it. So that's the biggest stress. And I think that, yeah, but Owen manages those guys. So it's not me doing it, but I'm just talking about like as a collective, we talk about it.
Yeah.
But that's the hardest part. Yeah. Trying to understand what's going on. But we have a great team here. And actually one of the guys I met at the kickboxing gym, Jeffrey, he's now my operations manager. We're training together. And then the guy who ran the gym is like, oh, you should speak. You both work in IT. And then we originally started speaking because we were going to do some business with his company that he was working for. And then he's like, wow, this company is so sick. I want to work with you guys too. And now we are 2.5 years later. He actually flew to Vegas with us on a private jet. It's mad. So like everything is kind of beautiful. We got a great team. I think, yeah, but in short, the stress is the languages, understanding the cultures. And then also what happens is in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And when someone says, no, that doesn't work in this country, you kind of sometimes like, is he right? Maybe cold calls don't work in this country, but no. They always work. So it's been trying to understand the culture, but we're at a place now 3.5 years in that I think we understand it.
Anything else that you want to go through on like what it's doing now? Because I'm probably going to go into like what's next, and you mentioned Dubai and stuff, so that'd be good to hear about. But is there anything that you want to go through?
Yeah, I mean, this is where what we talked earlier about what makes things easier and what makes things harder. My lease agreement in my UK business has come to an end, and we've had that premises now for like 10 years. And that would be a hell of a job that would stress me out, especially for the fact that I'm living most of my time out here in the Netherlands. But lucky for me, where I have these great people with me who I literally trust with my life. I would close my eyes and let them have a razor blade by my throat. They would never, they are my brothers, right? That I just give them, I just say, if you say we can afford it, if you say it can be done, like David and Luke are taking, I don't even get involved. They're signing a new 15-year lease, sorting the builders, sorting everything out. I'm not. So like a big move would be super stressful. And I've got people who take it all off of me. All I got to do is sign off on the cost, but I don't have to do any of the actual stressing over it, which is so good. And I think that it'd be impossible for me to get to where I want to go or even be where I am now if I didn't allow people to take control. So yeah, and this is actually where I've been a good leader. And I think this is where people can take is empowering people is the best thing you can do. You can't do it all at once. You kind of, you got to be in the trenches together. You build trust, you build loyalty. But now it's at a point where I'm going to Lebanon in 10 days. And I had a management meeting this morning saying that if something went terribly wrong while I'm over there, I was like, make sure everyone's got access to the banks and everything, because this business is bigger than me. And I know the business would run without me. If I died, the business would run without me. So that's where I think that's where you need to get to. You need to go to a place where you have people around you who you can trust to make decisions on a level where you know that they could make them to a standard of which you would make them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and if you had to do it all on your own, I'm pretty sure you would have blown up by now.
Yeah, I would have blown up, bro. Definitely. It's just looking after everyone is enough of a job. I couldn't think about the small detail anymore. It's funny, as I got to this point, I got to the point where I struggled to even fill out a speeding ticket. Like I need someone else to do it for me, because I can't. My attention to detail is fried. It's crazy.
You mentioned before about Dubai and wanting to set up there. What's coming in the next? You just said you signed a 15-year lease, actually, so we can go as far into the future as you want. Where does the business go from here?
Well, the reason why I want to start in Dubai is this company here in Europe has been taking most of my time and energy, and it's getting to a point now where it's making money. We have a good management team, and my job is less hands-on than it would have been before. And with that means that I'm going to start to have free time on my hands. And what I realized actually in 2017, when things were the toughest, is that in a strange way, as long as you're fighting, it doesn't matter if things are going good or bad, there's peace in the fight. So I've had things where I'm making loads of money, but I haven't had a lot to do, and I've felt depressed. And I've had times when I'm not making any money, but I've had a million things to do, and I haven't had time to be depressed. So I just never want to be bored. So as soon as something's up and moving, I got to be doing the next thing. I'm not someone who can sit around. So the idea is that the second this is making enough, we go straight to Dubai. And the reason I'm going to Dubai is it means that it's 3 hours ahead of us, so I can get ahead of my working day. Also, I think it's the future. There's a load of tax benefits too. There's a million reasons to be there. And yeah, the next plans is Dubai. We're going to continue to build. When I say the company's going to do $1 billion, that's not because of Dubai. This company will do $1 billion with just Europe and UK. But we're going to Dubai, yeah. That's the plans. 15-year lease in the UK, because we're setting up to start as we mean to go on now. And the premises that we're getting in the UK could probably take us to 100 million. And then I foresee the European entity doing like 900 million. I reckon it'll take us 10 years to do it. I think that even the fact that we only do 15 now, I think is inconsequential to the route in which it would get to $1 billion, because the reason why I get to $1 billion is brands will start to attach to us. We're like a snowball, and we're starting to gain speed now. And I think the distance from 0 to 20 is shorter than the distance from 20 to $1 billion, because of the kind of speed we've been picking up. So that's the future. And also, it doesn't hurt to be chilling out in the sun, having barbecues. So I think I love the idea of having a business in Dubai where I'm 3 hours ahead. I can go to the gym, have a coffee, do all my work. Oh, yeah. This is the other thing. You know, I told you that it's really, really difficult to get multilingual staff.
Yeah.
Well, about Dubai, 90% of the people are immigrants, and they're from all over the world. So what I'm thinking is we could have a sales office there where we could be like, right, we want the best French, we want the best Spanish, best Italian, and they're all just going to be a walk away. So we're kind of foreseeing that obviously we're going to keep our great team here and the operation here, but where we want to get more specialized multilingual speakers, we might have better success in Dubai. So there's a whole multifaceted reason why it makes sense. But as the saying goes, the bridge that cost the war, and I don't want to be chewing off more. And that actually, we were at a similar place with this 2 years ago. I thought that this was going to be the bridge that cost the war, but thank God we survived. So I want to do it slowly. I don't want my ambition to collapse the business, but I also don't want to stand still. So it's that slow progression, you know?
Definitely. No plans to sell up then? Safe like that.
I will sell at some point. I think in 10 years or something. I'm not going to, this sounds crazy, right? If someone came and offered me 50 million, the business is probably only worth 20 or 25 million. If someone came and offered me 50, I'd say nah.
Yeah.
Because I know where this is going, and I don't want, And even if it went bankrupt 2 years later, I'd be at peace because it felt right at the time. I'm not one of these people who looks back on decisions and wish they could have been. I think that everything happens for a reason. But no, I don't want to sell just yet. I'm too young to sell. There's way too much left in this. I'm not going to be someone, I don't want to just be rich. I want to really do something special, and I'm willing to risk it all to make sure I get there. So I'm not going to be ready to sell this for another 10 years. And I've incentivized all my main management team. They're all going to become millionaires with me when this happens.
Very good. Very good. Well, James, we said it would be a good one, and it has been.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we will fast track it and put it ahead. But
Oh, bro, I'd love that. And I'll share it to my guys on my YouTube channel as well.
yeah, really good. Yeah,
This is the first podcast I've ever done talking about my business, because I've done a couple of podcasts with people before, but I've never talked about my journey. So I actually said to my colleague, I go, I'm super excited about this one.
yeah, it's been good, and I appreciate like being really open and honest. Like it's not often that you get that from business owners, because they like to show this, I don't know, everything's perfect and nothing ever goes wrong, when that's not.
Yeah, bro, listen, psychedelics, DMT and magic mushrooms dissolve my ego. I'm happy to tell you, though. I've made my fair share of mistakes, but we all do. And I think that's the beauty of it. Like I said, life is poetry. And just because you're down today doesn't mean you're down forever. And I understand that now. And I think that the people who protect their egos probably just haven't, they'll learn in the end, I think, I hope.
Definitely. Yeah. If people want to check out either the business and your YouTube stuff and your LinkedIn stuff, it's worth a watch. It is entertaining, and you learn a lot. Where can they find that?
So my YouTube channel is James Lake Show. My Instagram is James Lake Show, and my LinkedIn is James Lake. So yeah, check them out. I do an eclectic mix of content on YouTube. It's interesting, a lot of mindset, business, spirituality. And then on my Instagram, there's a lot of showing off my cars, stuff like that. And then on LinkedIn, it's all sales calls. So yeah, I kind of just record me doing my day-to-day business, vlogging, and it's a blast. That's all I do, really. I spend all my time just working and then recording myself work. And that's about my idea of fun. That's about my whole life.
Awesome. James, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and we'll definitely do it again.
Definitely.
Maybe when you set up in Dubai, or maybe before.
All right. Well, just tell me when, bro. I'm happy to talk about this stuff. I got a passion for it, and it's fun. It's actually taken me back going, because when I was telling you those jobs I had, I kept remembering other ones. So like, It's been quite a cool memory exercise for me to go back in time. I think a lot of those drugs that I did in my mid-20s fried some of this out. So we're reactivating some of those brain links.
Yeah. Maybe we might have a completely different story next time we do it then.
Yeah, we might. Some new memories might come to light.
Awesome. Thanks, James.
Lovely, brother. I'll catch you later on. All right. Be lucky. Have a great weekend.